This is a run-through of a presentation that will be made for NEOPC, Northeast Ohio PC Group. The meeting will be July 13th, 2016. The topic is Windows 10. It is now or never, at least for free, maybe. And what that means is the date for free download of Windows 10 to eligible computers is supposed to end July 29th of this year. And there have been all kinds of rumors circulating that Microsoft may repeat this offer in September or October. Their goal certainly is to get as many users on board as they can. And there are several ways that users, if they act now, can have Windows 10 whenever they want it. So we're going to cover a variety of topics in this presentation. Those are just a couple. So this is a Windows 10 desktop, my desktop. I have 3 computers running Windows 10 currently. Different versions, different types of computers, desktop, netbooks, tablets. And actually I have a phone running. Well, it's running 8.1. It's supposed to be 10, but it's really 8.1. Anyhow, that's what one looks like. And there certainly has been a lot of negative about Windows 10. That it's broken, that they shouldn't have introduced it at this point. People are having a variety of problems, and certainly new operating systems do cause that whenever they come out. This one has got some additional issues that we're going to talk about. On the other hand, there has been a lot of positive things said about Windows 10, mostly from large companies and people like CNET, ZNet, and so on. I'm not sure that they aren't motivated by advertising to do so, but there certainly are some things about Windows 10 that are very positive. And we'll talk about those also. July 29th, that's the date that Microsoft has said is the end of a free download if you have Windows 7, Windows 8, or Windows 8.1 and an authenticated version thereof that you own it. Question being, is it end on July 29th at 12:01 a.m. or at 11:59 p.m.? And that's a 23-hour and 58-minute spread, which is another day. Couldn't find a definitive answer to that. Looked on the internet and looked. My guess is it'll be 11:59 because Microsoft really is anxious to have as many people running Windows 10 as absolutely possible. So, but you need to be concerned that it might be 12:01 a.m. My suggestion, don't wait. The servers are going to be really, really backed up on July 29th. One of the big differences in Windows 10 is Microsoft thinks they took the best of both worlds. The live tile Metro version of Windows 8 and combined it with the tried and true desktop. And they actually give you both in Windows 10. So your desktop looks like what I showed you earlier. And then by simply, and one of the new features is you can have a variety of desktops, which they borrowed from Apple, but that's all right. And another new feature that they have is the Action Center, which comes from an icon over in this area of your taskbar. When you bring up the Action Center, here's where you can switch to tablet mode, which gives you virtually live tiles, Metro tiles much better for touchscreen applications. So it's easy to switch back and forth between the two from the Action Center and clicking on Tablet View down here. One of the major objections, certainly starting with the Windows 8, has been the new look. Windows pretty much has been what it was from Windows 98 on, with the Start button and so on. Classic Shell has been around since for a long while, but what it allows you to do, it's a free program, you can install it, and you can make your desktop look like anything you want it to look like, whether it's XP or Vista or 7 or 8. You can customize it and have your start menus over here. Your start button used to look like a Windows start button, but Microsoft sued them, so they make it into a shell now. But again, you can have a variety of looks and lots of different customization features that come with Classic Shell. I run that on quite a few of my computers just to run it and be able to talk to people about it. All right. There certainly has been a major resistance to moving to Windows 10, both on the retail level and on the enterprise level. Again, like I said, all operating systems when they get introduced have issues, but because Windows 10 has had so many and so publicly, it's been very difficult, even though Microsoft has made it very easy for people to get Windows 10 for free, to get people to switch. This chart shows from November of 2015 to May of this year, 2016, a 6-month period. In November, 12.8% of Windows users were using Windows 10. Obviously, the biggest usage was Windows 7. 8, which never caught on that well and had certainly some enterprise issues for sure. Not very big, and Vista and XP, I'm sure that that's understated because there's an awful lot of people still using XP computers that Microsoft doesn't know about anymore because they don't update them, so they don't communicate with those computers. So I'm not sure that this is absolutely the way it is, but let's say that it is. You can see in 6 months that it virtually has doubled the amount of people that are on 10, using 10 anyhow, or computers that are using 10. Now, this also reflects that the stock of computers being sold that still had other than 10 on it, either 8 or 7. And most of them were 7. A lot of the refurbs, they put 7 on them rather than 8. But anyhow, the usage is going way up. There's still an awful lot of resistance, and Microsoft is still anxious to see that number grow dramatically. Now, one of the big problems that Microsoft was sure that they were going to overcome with Windows 10 was their web browser, Internet Explorer, and they even renamed it to Edge. And as you can see, these are February of 16 through April of 16 statistics. The usage of Edge, even though there are a lot more computers using Windows 10 now, use of Edge has gone down, not up. They still have a lot of work to do on that particular piece of software, and they say they are, and who knows. Firefox, for the first time ever, is used more than Microsoft's browsers, whether it be Internet Explorer or Edge, and they add those two together here. It's only by 0.1, but it's above now. And you can see Chrome is still growing and absolutely dominates the web browser department. So why would you want to switch to Windows 10? Well, it's free for now. And after the free period is over, which will be going on a year, July 29th, it's going to be around $100 to $200, depending on which version you want to buy Windows 10. So why would you want to do that if you can get it for free? And we're going to show you some other things, some tips and tricks here later that even though you're not going to be running it now, you'll be able to have it for free. It has new features and many more new features to be planned, and who knows what's going through the minds of those people out down the West Coast. But anyhow, the features that are very unique and very good as far as I'm concerned. Cortana, although this has some privacy issues connected to it, but it's your digital assistant and works as well or better than any of the other ones from Apple or Google or whoever. Great program and getting nothing but better. Hello is part of their new security. This has to do with facial recognition, and they really are the leaders in this area. And Windows 10 is going to be incorporating that. They still have some work to do, though. Webcams are not, at this point, totally compliant with what they need to be, so that you don't hold a picture up in front of the webcam and it recognizes the picture. It has to be a 3D face. So, but that's going to be a great feature as security is going to be becoming more and more important as time goes on. And Continuum. Continuum is what Microsoft calls being able to have exactly the same program running on, whether it be your phone, your tablet, or your desktop. They all use the same files for information, and they have basically the same look from platform to platform to platform, making life a whole lot easier for those that use different devices. So that's a big deal. They have got a lot of their vendors writing software that will be Continuum compliant, and that's a great feature. All future hardware will be built to conform to Windows 10, and that has to do with compatibility of drivers and so on, which already is becoming a problem. There's a lot of hardware that's not compliant to 10, that doesn't work with 10, and still sorting through that. In the past, Microsoft has charged people immense amounts of money to be Windows compliant, and there's been some resistance to that, and that's all going to be sorted through. But there is no doubt that future hardware will be built to be compliant with Windows 10. All future software will be written to be conform the same way, which means that current versions of programs that you already have may not run well on your equipment unless you're running Windows 10. All Windows operating systems have improved with time, and there's no doubt about that. XP, which is the most popular of any of the operating systems Microsoft has made, took 3 major upgrades before it became the one that we all know and love. So there's no doubt Windows 10 will improve with time, and it already has, actually. Microsoft's future depends on its success, and Microsoft took a giant leap when they went with Windows 10 and giving it away for free, because they had a fair amount of revenue that came in from selling operating systems, and that's gone, and they claim it's gone forever. And every time they changed operating systems, there'd be more money coming in, and they're saying that that's not going to be the case. Now, they may change their mind on that, because we're talking billions of dollars. But they've staked their future on the success of Windows 10, and they're going to try to do everything they possibly can to make that happen. Some of it will be good for the end users, and some of it might not be so good. But certainly their future is tied to Windows 10 currently. And your current setup may obsolete sooner than you thought it would. And this has to do with both hardware and software and conforming to the many new features of 10. But those are some really good reasons why you might want to consider Windows 10 currently. So this is the third presentation I've given on Windows 10 for the NEOPC Christmas and July meeting. What you're going to hear in the rest of this presentation are strictly my impressions and my opinions. There certainly are opposing ones out there. I'm going to try and be as fair as I can and honest as I can from my experiences and my research on Windows 10 over the last 2.5 years. So I want you to check on things that I say. Those that are members of NEOPC, go to our forum, and there'll be a PDF there with links to all the web pages that I cite during this presentation. And you can go there and read the articles in full because some of them are fairly lengthy. If you are eligible for free Windows 10, upgrade. Do it now. But first thing you need to do is back up. And we've been talking about this forever. Most people are very lax in doing it, myself included sometimes, although I run a lot of computers and backing them all up can be a little bit of an issue. As we go through this presentation, you're going to see some asterisks. And what that means is there was a previous presentation given, in this case, about backup. And if you go to the NEOPC forum, you can get the video that was related to that, and you can get the PDF that has all the links on it on the forum. So, and better yet, make an image of your current operating system and all that goes with it. And again, that was covered in the same presentation on the forum. Update to Windows. That doesn't mean install it permanently. It just means to update to Windows 10 on eligible machines. And again, you can go back to some previous presentations and find out which machines are eligible, although I'm sure by now that Microsoft's been nagging you to go to 10 anyhow. Learn how to run Windows 10. Now, and again, there are going to be some links that you can go to. You need to spend a little time understanding why Windows 10 is different and how it's different and why that might be good for you and so on. Most people just go in, load up the system, look at it and say, well, it's different and I don't know how to, and I can't and I won't, and they get all upset with Windows 10. There are some excellent tutorials on 10, and you can spend a little bit of time or a lot of time, but you should spend some time learning how to run 10 before you make a decision on it anyhow. Evaluate your software and hardware when you've updated to 10 and see that your programs are running okay and that your hardware works, in particular your printer and your webcam and your Wi-Fi. Those three things have been major nightmares for Windows 10. Try out the new features and the new software. And again, some of this is the continuum software that I was talking about. And this probably is before you update to Windows 10, or you can do it anytime. Make an ISO DVD of Windows 10 so that you can install it anytime you want. It's a fairly simple process. It's covered in this presentation as well as it was covered in previous presentations. And in most cases, you're going to want to revert to your previous operating system. And again, that was previously covered, and it will be covered more in this presentation. So, when you upgrade to 10, you don't need a Windows key, which is a change from the way Windows has always been. They've always made you type in that 25-digit thing, and it's just a nightmare to do and whatever. Windows 10 actually issues a product key that you never see. It's kept on their servers, and the key is issued to your equipment, and exactly the motherboard and the memory and whatever equipment your computer has, that's who got the key. That's where that software can be installed. Again, there's some conversation whether you upgrade your memory or RAM, whether that's going to make it ineligible. The thinking on that seems to be no, but if you change a motherboard, that'll be the end of your Windows 10 on that piece of equipment. Again, rather lengthy article goes into some of those issues. You don't need a product key to install and use Windows 10. This one goes into where you can load up Windows 10 on a Mac computer, which is called Boot Camp, or you could put it on Vista, or you could put it on XP and do it for free. The only thing is that you will have this watermark always on your desktop asking you to activate Windows 10, and there's a couple features that get disabled, like customizing your desktop. But interesting article if you have some old machines that you think you'd like to try and upgrade anyhow to Windows 10 that aren't eligible for the free. Indeed, you can upgrade them to free. Now, you're going to see this slide several times throughout this presentation, and this comes from my interaction with people that are trying to upgrade to 10, have upgraded to 10, or trying to downgrade from 10, and so on. If you do not read instructions, so if you normally do things without reading the instructions, if you do not understand computer terms or are unwilling to look them up, or have little or no patience, do not install Windows 10 now. Upgrade, yes, and then revert. But don't leave it on there, because you're going to, and do it quickly, the revert, and we're going to show you about that, because that can be a problem also. And there's a good reason for this. There's some things coming up that will make 10 a lot easier for you. But if this is you, do not permanently install 10. Once you have upgraded to Windows 10, Microsoft issues a key to that computer in that configuration, and you can install and reinstall Windows 10 anytime. Unless you are ready to deal with the many possible Windows 10 issues, you should revert. Revert back to your previous operating system. Again, you're going to see this a couple times throughout the presentation here. So, important about reverting, and this has come up several times. So, Windows 10 gets installed either voluntarily or not, and you hate it and you want to go back to what it was and whatever. So you go to settings and you go to recovery, and then you get this screen, and we have a lot of people that say, reset this PC. Yes, sir, I don't want this thing. They get started, and what that does is it resets it to Windows 10, and it makes the computer think that it was born that way. So the go back disappears. Go back disappears. So if you upgrade to Windows 10, voluntarily or not, and you decide you not ready for it now, or it's not ready for you now, or whatever, when you need to go back to, make sure you look at the screen and do the go back to in your previous operating system, and it'll say where it came from. Get started. As long as you do that, I've yet to find anyone that said it didn't work. But if you have problems there, I went to YouTube and put in downgrade Windows 10. And it found 100,000 results on YouTube for downgrading Windows 10. But once you get past this first one, which is an advertisement, the first three here cover it all. How to downgrade if Windows 10 doesn't give you the option to downgrade to 10. And it'll show you how to get back to your operating system. How to uninstall Windows 10 and downgrade to 7. How to uninstall and downgrade to Windows 8.1. Covers it. And they're short, brief, and to the point. But if those three don't get you covered, there are 99,997 more videos you could look at. For those of you that like to read things more than you like to look at things, here is the written version of how to downgrade from 10. And again, these are all listed on this PDF. The web links are there, so all you have to do is click on them and it'll take you to that particular site. And if all else fails, and I've gotten into this a couple times, you actually can create a disk or a thumb drive that will reinstall your Windows 8.1 or 7 back on your system. The big problem comes if your system came with Windows 8 and your key is for Windows 8. You can't, there is no Windows 8 available. You have to install 8.1 and it won't accept the key from Windows 8 and it becomes a nightmare. But like most things with computers, if you look long enough, there is a solution. And if any of you get involved in that, I can help. So, how to extend Windows 30-day limit for rolling back to 7 or 8.1. And that's been one of the questions forever. You have 30 days to evaluate Windows 10, and if you don't revert back to your previous operating system within 30 days, that option goes away. Well, that's not necessarily true. In fact, it's not true. And this particular article will explain to you how you can, in the future, at any time in the future, roll back to your previous operating system. So, if you think that you're past your 30 days, you already have it and you're past your 30 days, this may or may not be able to help you. You need to do this during your 30 days. Now, it does go into how you would get around that also. So, if it's important to you, you would want to read this particular article. Learn about Windows 10. So I did a Google search for Windows 10 tutorials on YouTube. And it returned 4,970,000 results. The first one that it showed up on the Google page, Beginner's Guide Tutorial to Windows 10, and it's 37 minutes and 55 seconds long. That should be just about right to let you know enough about the Windows 10 operating system to make a decision on whether to revert or to hang in there. Again, in most cases, I'm going to say revert, but that's a personal decision you have to make. There's also a lot of other help on YouTube in regards to Windows 10. Two of the major ones that have come up a lot is how to boot into safe mode, which is different on Windows 10 than it is on any of the other Microsoft operating systems. And there are some good, this is one of the better ones on how to do that. And lost user accounts. When you upgrade to 10, run into it personally. Had a lot of phone calls on it, and have some stories to relate to you in a little later in the presentation about it. But then again, there's an excellent cure for it, and it's right here. Learning about 10, we've talked about Linda before. Linda is a company that provides training on computer-related topics. They have a course on Windows 10. Typically, Linda courses cost a couple $100 through the Westlake Library. Linda is available for free, either in the library or, if you have a library card, at home. So, if you really want to get in depth, this would be a good place to get in depth about Windows 10. Additionally, Microsoft does have information. They actually have a printed user's guide that you can get from this link, which you can look up things specific. You don't have to sit and watch a whole movie or go through a whole series of lectures to find what you're looking for. So this is a good link on 10 also. But in general, on the internet, Windows 10 is being cursed on a regular basis. It has been a nightmare, and there's still a lot of things that need to be fixed that I'm sure Microsoft is aware of, and they're working on it. I personally have had many hours helping people with Windows 10 problems. So a lot of what you're going to see and hear from me is directly related to those issues. And it's not to say that there are not more issues that are even more pressing or more complicated or whatever. A lot of what you're hearing here is my personal experience. Although in reading the amount that I read to put these kind of presentations together, pretty sure that I've got it nailed pretty close. Told you you're going to see it again. If you do not read instructions, do not understand computer terms, or are unwilling to look them up, have little or no patience, do not install Windows 10 now. Upgrade, yes. Revert, yes. Not install. Because unless you're ready to deal with the many possible issues, revert. So, one of the things that has made me more of a Windows 10 fan than you've heard me be in the past, I got a little netbook computer that came with Windows 10, and because I liked it so well, I decided to update one of my other laptops, and I was updated to a new version that was released June 14th of this year, 105.86.420, and they've fixed an awful lot of things. And it runs actually the three machines I have running on 10, I've had no serious problems with, minor issues. Now I got one that I can't fix, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but has more to do with, I think, the machine than Microsoft. Anyways, this new one is great. Windows 10 Anniversary Update will be coming out, which has got many of the fixes that Microsoft has been hearing about. And that should be out August 2nd. right after the free period ends. They figure that their servers will be free enough then to at least start to put this update out. My biggest issue with Windows 10 has been privacy. And you can read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different articles in regards to privacy issues with Windows 10. And as I was reading them, they said, well, go ahead and read the privacy statements from Apple, from Twitter, from Facebook, from Google, from Yahoo. And you can't get theirs, but we all know what Homeland Security's privacy stance is. So you just need to get used to the idea. If you're on the internet, there could be people looking at what you're doing. It's just that simple. Now, there are some ways that if you want to spend an awful lot of time and limit what you can do and so on, you probably can limit that a little bit. Not limit that a lot, but it also limits what you can do. So you have to get comfortable with what the privacy issues are in regards to the internet and make your decisions from there. Again, this is a personal thing. Do you want to have a Microsoft account? And once you've settled in your mind the privacy issues, having a Microsoft account makes a lot of things a lot easier. And I personally think, and this you aren't going to find in writing anyplace, but I think that they make your life easier in a variety of ways. And Microsoft obviously can cause you issues on your computer. And I think if you have a Microsoft account, some of those issues might not be as much. I do have one. I sign in my Windows 10 and 8.1s with my Microsoft account, not my 7s or XPs. That's, again, this is a personal thing for sure. So this is probably, and there are, again, hundreds, if not thousands, of articles in regards to privacy and how you can get around privacy. This is probably the best one I saw. How to disable the hidden keylogger in Windows 10. Stop your PC from spying on you. Again, you can read for days and days and days. This is fairly new. This is from Spybot, a piece of software we've recommended over the years, Spybot 1.62. But anyhow, they've come up with a new thing called anti-beacon. And there is no doubt, and the question is how much information is sent back to Microsoft from Windows 10 machines. And I've heard all kinds of stories about that it's clogged up companies' networks sending back information to Microsoft. They don't have any time to use it for themselves, their own network. There was articles out that in a 24-hour period, a personal computer tried 5,000 times to get a hold of various, over 100 different Microsoft servers to report information. Maybe yes, maybe no. There is no doubt that they get information back. They say they do. They say it's not identifiable to you, but it's all encrypted. So how do you know what information is being sent? You don't, is the answer to that. So the way to get by that currently, Microsoft may or may not decide to try and block this. Spybot has put out a piece of free software. It's called Anti-Beacon, and it absolutely blocks information going to Microsoft. Maybe worth looking at. Again, you have to make decisions on privacy. Some of the issues in regards to Windows 10. as I go through the internet to try and make this presentation, and as I go through to help various people with their problems in Windows 10, I come across a variety of articles, and here are some of the logos from the articles that I've run into. Now, before we do that, some of the messages you might get, and not, but it's time for a little levity because this can be a heavy subject. So, Windows cannot find the file. Would you like some wine instead? Immediately. I wish that one would show up and it would work. User error. Replace user, press enter to continue. Error. Oh God, you did something really bad. Delete random files? Okay. Uh-oh, you're screwed. Those they're not real messages, but they should be in some cases. So, some of the things, this missing user account, and I've helped a couple people with that. One person in particular had gone to Best Buy, to the Geek Squad, and they charged $150 to fix it. This person brought the computer home, and the next day it crashed totally. Took it back, and they had it for a couple more days and said it was fixed, and the last I knew it was semi-working anyhow. And when I did some research on this, again, there are thousands of people complaining about it on the internet, and that means there are tens of thousands of people that have the problem or more. They just don't bother to put it on the internet, take the time. Anyhow, there are 2 or 3 recommendations from Microsoft and other people. This one particular computer tried all of those. Didn't work. But remember I mentioned earlier this lost user account. There was a YouTube video. It was 3 minutes and 14 seconds, this video. And it deals with this particular problem. You can fix this problem in under 30 seconds. Based on this, I tried it on a computer, and by golly, there actually is a place now that they put a checkbox on properties of user accounts, and the checkbox, if you check it, says disable this account, and that's what's happening. Don't know why, and it only happens, I wouldn't say rarely, but infrequently for sure. And people have just torn their hair out trying to fix this thing, and this little video fixes it 30 seconds. Another issue that comes up quite frequently is USB problems, plugging things in and they don't get recognized, or they act weird or whatever. This is one of the problems that I had with my personal new little netbook. And there are a lot of fixes out there, and I tried them all on this particular netbook and never did get it fixed. Plugging in a thumb drive, and it would recognize it, you would see it, and then it would go away. And then it would recognize it. It just kept looping through, recognizing it and then not recognizing it. And you could never access it, even though you could see it. In Device Manager, it was there in the right device. And I had the same issue with a external DVD recorder on that particular netbook. Don't know. It works. Both of those, the thumb drive and the DVD recorder, worked on other 10 machines that I had. Don't know. So you would think it's probably to do with the hardware conflict of drivers with Windows 10. Don't know, and they know about it, and they're trying to work on it and fix it. But it can come up, and sometimes the fixes work and sometimes they don't. In this case, I just used different thumb drive. So some of the things that you'll find that there are fixes for in regards to Windows 10. This top one is the scariest of all. After upgrading to 10, you go to reboot and all you get is a black screen. There's nothing. There is a fix for it, and but that's a really scary one. It apparently doesn't happen all that often. Wi-Fi issues used to be a big deal for 10. They're starting to get some of that taken care of, and again, those were driver issues mostly. Cameras were also driver issues mostly. Sound recording were settings, and you could get to them and fix some of that stuff. Printer problems, and we'll talk about printers in a minute or two, but mostly driver conflicts. USB recognized, that's what we were just talking about here. Sometimes you can't shut it down. That's not good. Bluetooth issues. Windows 10 has its own Bluetooth ideas, and on one of my machines that I installed 10 on, it just totally wiped out the Bluetooth that came native with the manufacturer. Lenovo had a great Bluetooth piece of software, and they just deleted it and put their own in, which works, perhaps not as well, but it works. So anyhow, passwords can be a problem. Occasionally you'll get, and I've only had this twice, but it says your PC ran into a problem and needs to restart. We're just collecting some error info and we'll restart for you. And once that shows up, just leave it alone. Walk away. And there are some troubleshooters built into the program. One of the other ones is how to fix your touchpad, which is your mouse on Windows 10 notebooks. And that's a semi-prevalent problem. Now, hopefully you don't get this error message. Mouse error. Your mouse has stopped working. Click OK to continue. Just a little humor again, folks, because you need it when you're working with 10. Remember, if you don't read instructions, if you do not understand computer terms, have no patience, do not install it. Revert. Like I say, there are some built-in, there's a troubleshooter that's built in. In your advanced options, you can go to System Restore and Image Recovery. And again, images are important, and that's an issue that was covered in backup presentations that I have given. Startup repair, and again, like I say, startup problems are fairly prevalent, but they have a built-in fix, command prompt. Most people don't like to be writing things in DOS, but anyhow, some of the fixes that you need to do currently on 10 involve typing in some DOS commands. Startup settings, lots of problems there, so they put a button there. And go back to previous build, and it's interesting. Some people install 10 and it works great, and then after a couple upgrades, it quits working and it's just nothing but a nightmare. So they've even put a button where you can just go back to a previous build of 10. Okay, I said that we would have something on printers, and this link will take you to a page that lists all the printers and which ones of their versions are compatible with 10. And this is pretty current, so anything since this article, it's been built since this article, certainly is compatible with 10, unless the box says it's not, but almost all of them are. Webcams. The first time I looked, there were only 3 compatible webcams that actually had drivers written for Windows 10. My driverless cameras that I use work with 10 just fine. Most recently I checked on this again, and Microsoft didn't even know whether their webcams were compatible with 10. Conflicting information. Some places they said they were, some places they said they weren't. webcams can be a little bit of an issue. So if you don't have one, be very careful what you buy. If you do have one, plug it in. If it doesn't work, go to the manufacturer and see if there's an updated driver for it, or get a driverless one. That's where I would go with webcams. Could be in your future, and we talked about search engines, but if you choose to install Windows 10, you probably are going to need to get familiar with some of these guys, and probably the most apropos name for one that you'll need to get familiar with is Dogpile, which actually is a great search engine. Before I switched almost 100% to Google, this was my almost 100%. They're very good. They haven't certainly kept up with Google, but they give you a different look at the internet than Google does. They have different software that looks for things. So searching the internet involves a lot of time, a lot of reading, understanding what you read, which may involve additional searches. Patience, again, a joy of finding things out, and that's what moves me forward in a lot of cases, and a little bit of luck. Besides knowing what you're looking for, you need to know how to ask the question that gets you the answer that you want. And again, internet searching with Windows 10 today is probably something you'll be doing. Told you you're going to see this several times throughout this presentation. I believe this. I really believe this. On the other hand, if you don't believe that, reading this article, which was brought to our attention by one of our members who has had nothing but issues since going to 10, but the man has untold patience. He really is trying to fix it, but he sent a link to this article on our forum. And if you read this, you'll probably go sit in the corner and suck your thumb. I mean, it is a nightmare what people are going through. Some people, and it's a small percentage. But there are 20 problems that they come up with here and solutions to them. And some of the solutions take pages of steps to make it work. And if that doesn't work, then you go back to step 6 and do it this way instead of that. This one will make you think twice about installing 10 currently or waiting for the anniversary edition to come back and reinstall 10. After your upgrade, you revert, then you can reinstall 10 at any time with that ISO disk that we talked about. Now, the Windows Club, and there is such a thing, they have their own website, has a couple pieces of software that have fixes for problems in Windows 10. They're all free, and they work on a lot of the things. So if you're going to stick with 10 currently, or you've gone past the revert period or whatever, you may want to visit the Windows Club here and pick up some software. And if you have problems, and maybe you don't even have problems, like I say, I've been pretty much problem-free with this, but not everyone has, and that's for sure. The last version of Windows, and that really is very profound that they have said this, and basically what they're saying is that they're going to offer updates to Windows 10 forever. That'll have new features and improvements and so on and so on. They're staking their future on it, and let's see. In conjunction with that, they have made a statement that it'll be supported for the life of the device. So your key is tied to your device, and it knows what hardware is in there or whatever. So you can't really upgrade major hardware in your device and still have a legitimate copy of 10 And how fast they do this and how it affects machines running other versions of Windows, yet to be seen. And it could be your device gets obsoleted tomorrow, and then they will quit supporting it. Whether it be the CPU or the motherboard or whatever. Again, open questions. Nobody knows the answers. You have to trust Microsoft. My thoughts. I own Windows machines. I own Apple machines. I own Google machines. And they're all good. They are all different. They all do things differently. I really don't have any issues with any of them. Probably more with Apple than any of them, and I just never got indoctrinated into it's the best. Certainly it is the best if you're an artist. There's no doubt about that. Whether it's visual or audio or whatever, they're much better in that area. Google, which is Android, has by far and away more devices running in the world than anyone else, like 10 times what Microsoft has. And that has to do with phones and tablets and things. I run some tablets primarily, and they run great. And the update process is easier with them. Don't know. On the other hand, I've been a Windows guy since there's been a Windows. It's been a love-hate relationship for a lot of years, but I keep using it for a variety of reasons. And I think that Windows 10 eventually is going to be a great operating system. Going through the startup has been very difficult on my time and on my patience, and perhaps some of the people that I've been working with on this have noticed that. But we'll get through this. It'll all work out in the end, and Microsoft's going to be around for a very long time, and Windows 10 is probably going to be the best operating system yet. So we will see. I do have desktops, tablets, and phones all running Windows 10, so I'll be able to give you updates as time goes on. Last time you're going to have to see this, but it really is I have a very strong feeling about this. And you should revert. If you don't want to deal with this, just don't be aggravated. Or pay someone to install it for you. Just not me. And again, through the presentation, the asterisks denote that there were previous presentations that you can look up on the NEOPC forum and get further information. And wherever there was the little percent sign denotes that there are links on a PDF file accompanying this presentation on our forum. So we'll talk about questions now. And that's the end of the Windows 10 presentation.